Hi guys. So today what I want to do is go through the homework from yesterday, which was short, and then we're doing a live class tomorrow at 8 a.m. Correct. So tomorrow's Friday, 8 a.m. We're going to be together, so to speak. And so what I'd like to do is something a little different for homework. There's not going to be any written homework, so there won't be a form. I'm going to read sentences with you tomorrow, but I'm going to give you those ahead of time in the dear hope that you'll take a look at them so that we can read through them smoothly and it's not just me reading them. Now, whether that happens or not remains to be seen, I guess. That's up to you. So let's start with homework from yesterday, and then we'll get to these sentences I want to do tomorrow. So I gave you some verb forms and then I think one sentence. So let's look at these verb forms. Number one, we had lauda bomb, right? And I wanted ID and translate. So this is going to be first person singular. That M, first person singular. It's imperfect with the BA infix, and it's active. So first singular, imperfect, active, indicative. And we would translate that as I was praising. I was praising. Okay, number two, portabat. Same thing, it's going to be imperfect. You can see that right away. So stem, porta, plus BA, imperfect infix, plus ending. And the ending is T, so it's third person singular. So we would ID this as third singular, imperfect, indicative, active, and we would say he, she, or it was carrying. He, she, or it was carrying. Good, good. ID's good. Okay, next one, lauda bitis. Now I see stem, present stem, lauda, and now we have bi, so that's the infix for future, right? So it's going to be future, and then tis, second person plural. So our ID would be second plural future active indicative, and we'd say you all will praise. You all will praise. Good. Good. Okay, orabat. So present stem, ora, ba, infix for imperfect, and then our ending is t. So third person singular, imperfect, indicative, active. He, she, or it was praying or was asking. And then we've got our sentence. So let's see if anyone got it right. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's pretty close. Not bad. Okay, so we've got centurio and prima acie pugnabat. So take the verb first. It's third singular imperfect indicative active, right? So just like the ID we were doing. And if we translated it, we could say he, she, or it was fighting. Okay, now centurio, that's third declension, so it looks a little weird, but that's nominative singular. So this is going to be our nominative subject. Our verb's third singular. Our nominative subject is singular. So we could say the centurion was fighting. And now we've got this phrase in prima acie. I told you acie, which is a fifth declension noun. It's ablative singular feminine and it means battle line. And prima just means first. And hopefully you can see that long A, that's a first declension ablative singular ending. And the whole thing's a prepositional phrase. So we've got in with the ablative just meaning in. So the centurion was fighting in the first battle line. He was fighting in the front line. Either would work. Okay. And then, so one question that's relevant maybe to everyone. So I have a bunch of makeup work if you're still accepting it. Yes, definitely still accepting makeup work. And I will all the way up until you do your exam. So if you're not happy with your grade, you know, even if it's a B and you're only missing one or two things, just do that makeup packet, you know, whatever assignments you're missing. I think you can see on RenWeb which assignments you have a 0 for. Turn them in. I'll give you credit for them. Right? I'm just looking for good effort here. So answer yes. If you have makeup work to do, get it in. I'll take it until I have to enter grades, which is not for a while. So that's that. Okay, now you'll see this this document that we've been building on in the RenWeb for today, for Thursday the 7th. Tomorrow, so Friday when we're meeting live, we're going to read these 7 sentences. So it's from exercise 225 in your book. And they're all sentences working with the passive voice and then these funky ablative uses that we see with passive voice a lot. So like ablative of agent, ablative of means, these kinds of things. So I want to read those together. Not going to be homework tonight, except I would like you to look through these. You don't need to write out any translations, but just read each one and see if you can get them in your head a little bit so that tomorrow when we read them together, it's a little bit smoother. Make sense? So not homework, but I'm not giving you homework in the expectation that you'll take a look at these 7 for tomorrow. And with that being said, what I'm going to do now is put 5 sentences that are very similar. So these are sentences that work on the passive voice, different kinds of ablative uses. I'm going to go English to Latin, and they're the same kinds of sentences we'll be looking at tomorrow. So this should make reading these 7 I want you to read tonight easier. It's like reverse engineering. So I'm going from English to Latin, which is a lot harder, but you'll be able to watch how to put these sentences together. So let's see if I can do it. Number 1, then, the Senate is being dismissed. So what's our subject? The Senate. We need that in the nominative. And the word is senatus. Senatus. So there's our nominative subject, and our verb then is being dismissed. Okay, I know that's 3 words in English, but you should recognize that as a passive verb. So the verb is dismiss, but here it's in the passive. So the subject is being dismissed. The subject is receiving the action of the verb. And the Latin verb is dimittere, send away, dismiss. Dimittere, it's 3rd conjugation, and we need it. What tense is this? Is being dismissed is present tense. So we need it in the 3rd singular, right? The Senate is singular. 3rd singular, present, passive, indicative. Okay, so 3rd conjugation, we know the present stem vowel it ends up being I, and then our ending is TUR. So see, we have, I guess you would call dimitte the present stem, but it sort of regularly goes to I plus the ending TUR, which is 3rd singular passive. So our translation would be senatus dimittitur. The Senate is being dismissed. Again, passive voice here. All right, 2, a little harder. Almost all the swords and spears will be handed over by the leaders of the Gauls. So what's the subject? I'm gonna help us out a little and say almost all of the swords and spears. So our subject is all, right? That's really tricky. We're gonna need to use a substantive adjective here, omnis. So all, and our verb then will be handed over. Another passive verb form, it's future this time, will be handed over. And the verb we're gonna wanna use is tradere. Tradere is 3rd conjugation, and so we'll get to that. But let's try this this subject. Okay, almost. We're just going to use an adverb, and the adverb is fere. We probably haven't seen this really, but that's fine. So fere, and then I'm going to say omnis, almost every, almost all. And now all of the swords and of the spears. These are both going to be in the genitive plural, right? We're using the genitive to make the word omnis more specific, make the adjective more specific. We're defining it. All of what? So almost all. Now we want of the swords. The sword is gladius, right? So we're going to say fere omnis gladiorum. I'll use a conjunction et. And the spear is a tellum. So it's neuter, 2nd declension. We're going to say tellorum. So fere omnis gladiorum et tellorum. Now I'm going to leave the verb at the end. So our verb is going to be tradere in the 3rd singular passive future. So let's take by the leaders of the Gauls. Let's take this prepositional phrase next. And this is in Latin going to be an ablative of agent, right? Passive verb, you can't really see, you can't see who's performing the action of the verb unless you use a phrase like this. So we're going to need ab with the ablative to show ablative of personal agent, and it's by the leaders. So we're going to say and our noun is dux ducus, so we need it in the ablative plural, right? So ducibus, by the leaders. Now we have another genitive. Leaders of whom? Which leaders? The leaders of the Gauls. So ducibus Gallorum. And now we can take our verb, right? So we need will be handed over. Our verb is tradere, it's third conjugation. And how do we form the future in third conjugation? Just with the long E, right? Third conjugation doesn't get the BI infix. So we're going to say tradator. That should work. And I'm going to double check myself and look up that verb form. Third singular future indicative passive. Good. What do you know? I know how to do Latin. Okay, so fere omnis gladiorum et telorum ad ducibus gallorum traditor. So that works. I don't know how elegant it is because you know, Latin composition is a whole different thing, but the words are correct, it's readable, it works grammatically. Okay, and again, passive verb with an ablative of personal agent. Almost all the swords and spears will be handed over by the leaders of the Gauls. 3, similar. Almost all the tribes of Gaul were being conquered by the Romans. So our subject then, we're going to make it all the tribes as a noun and adjective pair. So we're going to need omnis, that same adjective again, in the nominative plural, and tribes, which will be gens, gentis, in the nominative plural. So we'll say, we'll put our adverb fere at the beginning again. So fere, and now we're going to say omnes gentes. So almost all the tribes. Almost all the tribes and tribes of Gaul. So genitive defining gentes here. And here it's not Gaul like the second declension noun meaning a Gallic person. It's the country, which is first declension and feminine. So omnes gentes Gallae, all the tribes of Gaul. Now we got were being conquered by the Romans. So our verb is were being conquered. We're going to use vincere, which is third conjugation. We need imperfect, right? Were being conquered is in the past. And then by the Romans, there's another ablative of personal agent. So we're going to put that before the verb. Romanis. This is going to use first and second declension endings. So, fere omnes gentes Galliae a Romanis, almost all the tribes of Gaul by the Romans. Now we need a verb, were being conquered. So again, it's vincere, third conjugation, and we want imperfect. So we're going to get a lengthened E and then the BA infix. So vince ba, and then what's our ending? So our subject is nominative plural. We need a third plural passive ending. So ntur. Vince banter. Almost all the tribes of Gaul were being conquered by the Romans. Good, 2 more here. Our cities and towns were being defended by brave soldiers. Okay, what's the subject? Our cities and towns. So the 2 nouns, right, that we need in the nominative plural. Cities, towns. And then we need a possessive adjective, our, which is going to come from noster, nostra, nostrum. So let's put the nouns first. So cities, that's from urbs, urbis, right? And we need it in the nominative plural, which will be urbes. And towns is oppidum, right? Neuter, second declension. So we need oppida. That short a is nominative plural in the neuter. So urbes et oppida. And now there's a couple ways we could do this. We could, I said we would use a possessive adjective, but that gets tricky because then urbase is feminine and opid is neuter, so we need to repeat the adjective, and Latin's more efficient than that. So what we're going to do is use the first person plural pronoun, right? Nos, nos, nos. Yeah, that's it. And we're going to put it in the genitive plural, so it'll be literally like the cities and towns of us. Of us. So urbes ad opida nostri. And hopefully that makes sense. But again, just the pronoun instead of the possessive adjective. By the way, I wouldn't expect you to be doing this. I'm again trying to go in reverse here, so it's easier to go from Latin to English because that is a lot easier. Okay, so our cities and towns. Now our verb is were being defended, from defendere, third conjugation, imperfect, third plural passive. Now we're going to put the ablative of personal agent before the verb again. So by brave soldiers, same preposition. We're going to use ab and then brave. So that's fortis forte, third declension adjective. And soldiers, we'll put that in first. So that's miles militis, right? Third declension, and we need it in the ablative plural. So we're going to want militibus. And now we can make our adjective agree with that. And the adjective is third declension, so we can say a militibus fortibus. Or do we like, I kind of like the sound of fortibus militibus better. I'm going to do it that way. Okay, so the cities and towns of us by brave soldiers. Now we need our verb. We're being defended. So again, it's defendere, which is third conjugation. So to get imperfect, the E is going to lengthen. We get the BA infix, and then we want third plural again. So NTUR, defendebanter. Urbes et opida nostri a fortibus militibus defendebanter. Okay, last one. The army will be led into Gaul by the general. What's our subject? The army. The army, and I've forgotten that word, so let me look it up. Exercitus. So we want exercitus, which is fourth declension, in the nominative. And our verb then is going to be will be led. So this is going to come from duco ducere, and it's in the future. We'll leave the verb at the end. And so we've got the army will be led, and then two prepositional phrases. So it will be led into Gaul. That answers the question, where will it be led? And then by the general. That's an ablative of personal agent, answering who's doing the leading. So we'll put the prepositional phrases right after the subject. So into Gaul, that's going to be in, and we want the accusative case because it's motion into or motion toward. So we're going to say in Galliam in the accusative singular. And then by the general, we could say ab, and our noun is imperator, imperatoris, third declension for general commander. And so we want it in the ablative singular, imperatore. E is the third declension ablative singular ending. So exercitus in Gallium ab imperatore, the army into Gaul by the general. Now we need will be led. So the verb is ducere, right? Third conjugation, and we want future third person singular passive. So it's third conjugation, right? So the future, long E, not an infix. Long E plus the ending. So ducator is going to work. Exercitus in Gallium ab imperatore ducator. The army will be led into Gaul by the general. And in ab imperatore, that's an ablative of personal agent. So again, look through these sentences tonight, if you will, and they're very similar. They're the same kinds of sentences that I was just composing, and we'll read those tomorrow and then go into the weekend. So we'll talk to you then.